Hey everyone, Frederick Rake here. Sorry I'm wearing all this. I'm sitting on the front porch and there's no heat out here except for a fireplace Amish heater thing. Um, I know I don't have very many subscribers, and I'm not sure how many people are actually going to see this, but I'm hoping that, because I could care less about, my subscribers or views on YouTube, whatever, but I'm hoping this can get out and uh, people can share this everywhere so that people going through what I'm going through right now will know that, they're not alone, that there's other people going through it too, and it might help. And sorry that I'm smoking, but on the video, but it's just I'm nervous and anxious, and I smoke whenever I get that way. Um, it's 4, almost 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm still awake again. It's been all week, and the reason why is because this week and next week, 3 years ago, was one of most, the hardest times of my life. Um, on November 4th of 2016, we found out that my mom had 3 months to 6 months to live. 3 months if she didn't do the radiation, because she had already done about 3.5 years of chemo, and it kept going away, then coming back, going away and coming back, and this time it had spread so bad that chemo wasn't going to work. They had to do, extensive radiation to do it. But that was November 4th of 2016, and then on the 5th, I remember getting into a tussle with some family members, certain ones, about the fact that I wanted to tell mom that what her options were, that if she did this, she could have 6 months, maybe more, maybe less. But if she didn't, she'd have 3 months, maybe more, maybe less. But certain people were telling me that I shouldn't tell her, because of the fact that, it might just make her give up. But I honestly didn't see it being that way for her. I just know that I would like the option to know, so that if something happened, we could do that. But that was on the 5th. On the 8th of November was when our family, myself, my two brothers, our wives, my aunt, my uncle, and my grandpa, which is her sister, her brother-in-law, and her dad, all came to say goodbye to her, because we knew the time was getting close. She wasn't really too coherent anymore, and she was, in and out of consciousness a lot. But we all had a chance to say goodbye, and I remember I cried quite a bit that day, and I had to step out of the hospital room because I didn't want my mom to see me cry, because I knew that she didn't want to make me feel that way. And so that was on the 8th, and then on the 9th, she became a lot more incoherent. Not really incoherent, it's not the right word. She became a lot more, she was in and out of consciousness a lot, to a point where she was not really talking, and the longest she would stay awake would be maybe 2-3 minutes at a time. Long enough to ask where people were, my brother, where he was and everything. And then that was on the 9th, and the evening of the 9th, they decided that it was time to move her to a hospice facility. So they did that, and we went over there and we sat with her for a while. And then the next day, on the 10th, she wasn't really there at all. I think she had one time where she woke up and she asked where my brother John was. I think that was about it. And then I remember we were all going to take turns staying up there. My older brother and his wife were going to take the first shift until it was like from 7 p.m. to 2 a.m. And then my wife and I were going to go home, get some sleep, come back, and be there from 2 a.m. to about 8 a.m. So that she'd always have someone there with her, just in case the worst happened. And I remember around 10 o'clock, I got a call from my stepmom saying that you need to get up here to her room because it's not much longer now. Because she was taking one breath every probably minute and a half, every minute and a half. So we knew it was getting close. So my wife and I and my mother-in-law go up there, and we're all sitting there with her. And I remember my dad, my stepmom, and my mother-in-law were sitting behind us in the chairs, and my brothers and my wife and I were all around the bed. I was holding on to her shoulder. My brother John had a hold of her hand. My brother Richard had his hand on her leg, and my wife had her hand on around, it was her lower leg around her ankle, foot area. And I remember I was just looking at her because something in my gut told me that this was going to be the last time I was going to be able to look at her while she was alive. And I remember something just made me come out and say, Mom, if you want to go, it's okay. You can go. We'll be fine. And she took one more deep breath, and then she went, and she was gone. And that's bothered me for the past 3 years because of the fact that I know it sounds morbid, but in my mind, at least, um, in my mind, the last thing she heard was me telling her that she could die, pretty much, And I know that's not what it was, but I always remember thinking, so many things I could have said to her. I could have said, goodbye, I love you, how great of a how great of a mom she was. I could have said any of that stuff, but I didn't, and still hold regrets to that to this day, and it's causing, anxiety and depression, and I'm now on, medication, Prozac, and I lost a job because of all this, and it's just been really, really horrible. And the main thing that I was happy about was the night that she passed away, whenever I was at home in bed, laying next to my wife. I remember thinking about my mom, about how much I missed her already, and then out of nowhere, I felt someone touch me on the leg, on the hand, on the shoulder, and then it felt like somebody brushed my hair away from my ear, and then it felt like something touched my cheek. It was like that feeling like whenever your hand's asleep. It was like that, but it was like just a small little area like right here, and it was my mom. I know it for a fact because of the way it was, touching me in all the places that we were touching her, to let me know that she knew we were there with her, and that helped a little bit. But it's a long explanation, but that was on the 10th. From the 11th to the 15th, it was planning a memorial service, and then on the 16th we had a memorial service at my wife and I's church. It's the church that I was baptized at, which my mom was there for, and it was a church that my wife and I were married at, which my mom was there for. So it only seemed fitting that we had her memorial service there. And I remember my boss and a couple coworkers came in, and they were being very, very supportive, and I couldn't ask for better coworkers, bosses, or friends, and they're more like family. But I remember they asked me when I'd be able to come back to work, and I told them, how about Friday, because it was Wednesday at that time. Asked how about Friday, and I hope unloading truck and doing all that stuff. So I took the next day just to be, hopefully I'm not talking so loud that people can't hear me. I just thought about that, but I don't want to wake anyone up in the house. Like I said, it's 5 o'clock in the morning, but I remember they said that I could take Thursday to just, unwind, and then I can come back on Friday, and I did. And I did the truck in the morning. I went in at 5 a.m., and I worked until 2 p.m. And then they wanted me to come back at 3 p.m. and work 8 p.m. because of an issue that was going on. And that night, right before 8 o'clock, right before I was about to leave, a man comes in with a gun and Rob was just like on point, and that was the straw that broke the camel's back. That messed me up bad, and one of the worst things about it is the fact that anytime anything happens bad, I know that I can go to my mom, talk to her, and she'd make me feel better. And I couldn't have that. It was over. I couldn't. And so there's a lot of things that have been going on. Luckily, I have a wonderful family. My dad, my stepmom, my two wonderful brothers, my perfect son. I mean, he's perfect in every way. I couldn't love anyone more. My beautiful, beautiful wife, who's been there every second of all of it, every single second of everything. And the fact that, and I remember I told her about this, and it's like a year and a half after she passed away. I remember I was telling her about it, and I just started bawling whenever I told her about this because it was so emotional. But uh, the fact that she the fact that she had her hand on my mom, that my mom felt her love for her when she went, meant the world to me. I mean, it was above and beyond. It was something that I will always, always remember and cherish about that night. But I've been lucky enough to have a lot of great people in my life to help me out, friends, family. But there for a while it was really rough. So I know that if there's anyone out there who is going through the same thing, just know that there are people that you can talk to, and it's best to talk to them, because I didn't for a while, and now I'm in therapy and on medication. So what does that tell you? But the best thing to do is talk to somebody, preferably somebody outside of the circle, someone who's not emotionally involved in it, because they'll be able to give you better advice than, say, you know, someone that's in it, because you know you get an objective opinion on what's going on, and that's what I did, and it it helped. And one of the reasons, ways I know, is because, like I said, I struggled for a while with what was going on with the last thing I said to my mom. And for 3 years, I held on to that until I talked to one person, the right person. And I told him I wished I would have just said goodbye, or I love you, or all this different stuff that I wanted to say. And she looked at me and she said, by you telling her that it's okay, she can go, we'll be okay. I told her all that stuff already. I told her that I loved her. I told her how great of a mom she was. I told her that, how much I was going to miss her. I told her all that stuff in that one sentence. And that, it opened my eyes. And I've looked at it differently since then. But yeah, if there's anyone out there going through what I've been going through and what I'm going through for the next week, at least until the 19th, I'm guessing, because it's this way every year for the past 3 years. But talk to someone, because if you just sit on it or let it fester and think, oh, it's okay, I feel better, this and that, you may think you do, but it's going to come back out, and it's not going to be healthy. You need to get this stuff taken care of right away. So if anyone who sees this wants to share it, forward it, do whatever you can to make sure that, or if you know someone who's going through something like this, share it with them. Let them know that there's other people going through it, that no one has to be alone in this. And I'm thankful that I'm not. But what makes it worse is, on the just after the 2-year anniversary of my mom passing away, my grandpa passed away, which was my mom's dad. And so it kind of brought everything back. So that may be why it's been, 3 years and it's still hard, because it's only been a year since I lost my grandpa. And he was, there for me a lot growing up. And, you know, he moved us down from Illinois, moved us down to Illinois from Oklahoma, and pretty much was the main reason why we survived was because of him. So I miss him too. So, but um, I think I've taken up 15 minutes of everybody's time, so I'm going to go ahead and get off here and just say that I love everyone who watches this, who's been supporting me, who's always there, and even those who aren't always there but have been there. And to anyone that's going through this, just know that, you know, my thoughts are with you, my prayers are with you, that you can get through this. And all you need is a little faith. And if you're not a person of faith, then just know that the universe will let you be okay. You'll be alright. So, much love to everybody.